Hello there. The AfD is on the verge of becoming Germany's largest political party, and that is what will get it banned. The Alternative for Germany, the AfD, is on the march up the polls in Germany. The latest poll has it standing just 1 point short of the CDU-CSU Union Party. The German establishment will therefore view it as a clear and present danger to be politically destroyed, because any further gain will see the AfD become the largest political party in Germany. The horror of all horrors to the lefty woke EU-centric establishment. You can see anti-AfD lawfare coming down the tracks. Just like in France on Monday, when Le Pen was banned from standing in elections in France. The European tinderbox just got drier. The German government machine has already been working on trying various ways to ban the AfD, but they will now have to get serious to save themselves from oblivion. And, as ever, lawfare will be the way forward for them, following no doubt in the footsteps of the French establishment's lawfare against Le Pen's national rally, as that party climbed in the polls. Now, one organisation affiliated with the AfD, the Young Alternative, had been branded as extremist and far-right since 2023 by Germany's Federal Domestic Intelligence Services, with the German government getting ready to step in and ban it as a first step. But the Young Alternative has just taken preemptive action by dissolving its own organisation, so as to remove the risk that it might be a contributory factor in the German establishment banning the AfD or its politicians from elections. The move, reports Politico, to dissolve the organisation, supported by both the AfD and the youth group itself, is seen as a tactical manoeuvre to protect and destigmatise the party, which will become the largest opposition force in Germany's Bundestag once the new Conservative-led coalition government is formed. And the AfD will then form a new youth movement, fully under its own control, that will include many of the members of the dissolved Young Alternative. Anyway, Germany's incoming coalition government plan on bringing in new laws to strengthen the resilience of our democracy, by bringing in new laws that ban certain people from standing in those democratic elections. Less democracy, more political prisoners, it seems. And they are starting by targeting people who have multiple convictions of incitement to hatred. Now, I know nothing about German law, but from what I've read, the bar to that seems to be extremely low, and more governed by a sort of hurty word derangement syndrome than by any actual harm caused. And if this law comes to pass, will new hate laws also come down the pipe that will end up banning all but the ultra-woke from elections? And how selectively will they be applied when comparing extremists from, say, the left and the preferred demographic with the extremists from the so-called far right? I'll talk about that where the Le Pen case is concerned in a moment. Now, we have nothing like those new German proposals here in the UK. Yet. Our bans against people standing for election only apply to things like being a lord, imprisoned at the time of the election for more than a year, bankruptcy, breaching electoral law, or intimidatory criminal offences against other candidates or campaigners. But Keir Starmer and his woke mob will be watching this German move very carefully indeed. I'm sure they would love to see new laws that meant only those who towed the woke line can stand for election. How about, for example, not allowing anyone to stand who has one of those non-crime hate incidents logged against their name? Even if, as in many cases, those people are blissfully unaware that they have an NCHI registered against them. Now, in Le Pen's case, Breitbart is reporting that the controversial move to ban National Rally leader Marine Le Pen from standing in the French presidential election has been accused of demonstrating double standards, with reports claiming that over 100 other European politicians violated the same rules without facing prosecution. Well, what do you expect to happen to anyone who does not toe the internationalist woke line in any one of our modern Western so-called democracies? Whether or not you get investigated for misuse of EU money under these rules on where and how you can spend EU expenses money will be determined by your obedience in pushing EU expansionist policies, not on the merit of the case itself. And when I say EU expansionist policies, I mean as much about expanding its power and influence into the EU by draining the member states of ever more sovereign power, as I do about increasing its geographical size by accepting new member states. Those that do not work towards ever closer union or even want to reduce the power of the EU machine or even shut it down will always find themselves being targeted by Lawfare. Now, one of the things about this Lawfare is the human right to a fair trial. Under the ECHR, that the woke lefties always insist we remain a part of and obey to the letter, the right to a fair trial is a fair and public hearing within a reasonable time by an independent and impartial court. But when the judges are not impartial, how can it be a fair trial? Especially if the police, governed by woke rules, are too afraid to do other than arrest on the basis of ethnicity, with the majority ethnicity, white, becoming ever more at risk of arrest, while others walk away. Just think about the rules the Sentencing Council are trying to bring into UK courts. Those rules are not impartial. So how can a trial where those rules are involved be fair? Human rights as practised in the UK and most of the Western world are now purely minority rights. Something EP warned us about many decades ago. And that cannot be right. Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching.